I personally prefer to use the term Allah, get quickly. Why? In the English term or French term, French, I suppose the same, the word God is subject to plurality. You can speak about gods linguistically, at least, not belief. You can use a female or gender for that is who's so personal that he's close to us, but so transcendent also that a lot of Abrahamic people believe in that, maybe some others as well. Let's focus on the qualities and attributes of God rather than just equivalent linguistic equivalence.
We as Muslims believe the Quran of Allah, and listening to you when you read the Quran. So if you want to know if it's Allah, the same God as that of the Christian, when you read the Quran, he says, I created Adam. He says, I created the devil. I created heavens and earth. And I'm the one Moses with all those miracles. I'm the one who created Jesus from a virgin mother. So the claim that Allah, the God of the Quran, is making makes it exactly crystal clear that He is the God you read about in your Bible. That's my understanding.
I think we have time for 2 more questions, and
Ms. Actually, is it New Brunswick at the moment? Love this privilege of coming and worshiping with you people and having prayer time. But one thing that I guess troubles me more than anything as worship is the reason the women are separated from the men. And that's a big question, but is there a simple answer to it?
Thank you. Another very good question, and a lot of things that we see in our life, sometimes we see with our eyes and we make a judgment about it, but there might be another reason behind that. So we'll ask Sister Bonnie to talk about this. Why are men and women separated during the prayer time?
So that's the formal prayer that you see. But if you're praying, there we go. So obviously right now we're all mixed, and you could, doing other kind of supplication prayers with men and women together. But the formal prayer, you saw the prostrations. But men, and you were standing behind a lot of women in a row prostrating in front of you, you may not think about God. So as a practical thing, for me, and as a non-scholar, it makes a lot of sense that the men are there, the women aren't behind. It has nothing to do with who's better, who's worth. That's really kind of it's really about being practical, about what we're doing, the prostration of the prayer, and making sure that we're all there thinking about God, because that's what we're supposed to be there for. Yeah, he said.
Well, really, personally, I won't be comfortable, talking to God and being very spiritual, to be, have a guy on my right and another guy on my left. To me, it's a personal comfort. I'd feel more comfortable to pray, near women. That's for one thing. And like Muslim women cover. And it's because we're different from men, there are things that are special for women, different roles. We are equal to men in spiritual matters, but we kind of play different roles in society. And for example, I won't want to, go dressed. It's like personal. I feel more comfortable if, I'm wearing modest clothing, and if, when I cover my my hair. So there are these personal differences between ever men are, they are better or superior or anything. It's just that Islam is acknowledging our different roles and our special roles.
Thank you, sister. I remember actually probably the first week after I had embraced Islam, I was walking down the street and I saw a Muslim man and a Muslim woman walking down the road. And there was children, and the man was in front of the woman walking down the street. So I went to my imam, who I was learning from at the time, and I said, are Muslim men supposed to walk in front of Muslim women? Is that what we're supposed to do? And he laughed at me. He laughed at me and he said, did it ever occur to you that maybe they just had an argument or something? Like, we're human beings and we all have the same feelings. And sometimes what we see is we see things with our eyes and we make sort of an assessment about what's going on. Maybe the sidewalk is just a certain width. So as a group of people are approaching away, another group of people are walking by, and generally somebody has to walk in front of somebody else. So sometimes I think these are excellent questions, by the way, because this is the way we learn about each other. And there's no wrong question. And a lot of times, a lot of these questions I'm hearing, I've had the same questions. And I think it's wonderful opportunity. We still have another sister. You have a question there?
So someone asked me somewhere, is that there feminism in Islam? Is there feminism in Islam? And our learners get to answer that. I already know.
Is there feminism in Islam? I guess it depends what you term feminism, I suppose. But Sister Obeida?
I feel that women in Islam look at themselves in quite a different way from the West. I think that feminism grew in the West. There could be some Muslim women who admire some of feminist ideas, but if you look at women in Islam, I think it's a totally different story. It's like, when you see a tree that grows in a certain climate, it does not grow in another climate. I feel that in the Islamic environment and in the Islamic climate, there may be less enthusiasm for feminist ideas, because when Islam first came, Islam so many rights. Women are so cherished in Islam. They have been acknowledged as equal human being, as like you can't really compare, in a culture where, women were, acknowledged to have a soul, like a few hundred years ago maybe. And in Islam, when, 1400 equal to men at the start. They were abused in the pagan times before Islam in so many ways, and in so burying babies if they were girls when they were alive, and all that. Islam came and changed this, gave women the right to have property, to choose who they marry. And there were, like from the earliest Muslim people, there were women who, even the first martyr to die in the cause of Islam was a woman, and she was a black woman. So really, as a Muslim woman who grew up with an Islamic family and in an Islamic society, I really honestly never felt the need to look at the world as divided into a group of men and a group of women, and there is always conflict between them. The way I see myself, I see my father, my son, my husband, my brother, we're all in one unity. I don't see myself distinct as a female. So I think there might be some good feminist ideas, but I feel it's different from an Islamic perspective.
So it's amazing because The first Muslim convert was a woman. The top scholar after, of course, the Prophet was a woman. So when the people around the Prophet had questions, they would actually direct them to a woman. The Prophet was saved. So I thought, wow, this is so profound. We look today, just the stories about what just happened in Hollywood for women, the state of women, the illiteracy rates, the oppression by our best efforts. Maybe as Muslims, and we shouldn't be looking to take a step forward, but really to be taking a step backwards. Because really looking back to the time of today, Muslim countries, there's more female representation in government, hands down, compared to Canada, US. Pakistan, female leader, Malaysia, Indonesia, it's incredible. So, but regardless, there's a lot of Muslim countries where women are oppressed, the illiteracy rates are unacceptable. This is not an Islamic thing, this is a cultural problem. We should be supporting the elevation of women to the level of equal access to education and these types of things. But yeah, so in that, with respect, for sure, I agree. So thank you. Yeah.
Sorry. We have heard from our two respected sisters, and I fully agree with what they said. But for the sake of intellectual honesty, I say that the opinions, not on the hadith, maybe misinterpretation of Quran hadith, that you find some writers in the past who write that الرجل أفضل من المرأة, man is superior to women. But when you encounter this, no matter how famous the writer may be, the methodology in studying Islam or finding answers is to begin first with the Quran, the highest of authority, as mentioned earlier, verbatim the word of Allah, then the sound hadith, because some hadith may be strong, some might be, there is a whole science to deal with this. But if you go to the Quran itself about superiority of men or women, the issue is settled in no uncertain term. Remember that verse that Dr. Saad quoted earlier, O humankind, we created you male and female, or from a single pair of male and female, it can be translated both ways. And we made you into nations and tribes that you may get to know and recognize one another. You know what that ayah, or that verse that begins talking about men and women say? Inna akramakum inda Allahi atqakum. The most honored of you in the sight of God is one who is most pious and righteous. And righteousness is not a monopoly of men or women, east, west, black, white. It is an open competition for everyone, unqualified. The most honored is the most righteous. The game is open, competition is announced, anyone can sign in.
There also is a verse in the Quran called the women, and there's a chapter in the Quran named specifically for a woman, I think that we all, many of us honor, and that is Mary, mother of Jesus, peace be upon her. I think we're going to call it a day for the question and answers. 6 p.m. tonight, Dr. Jamal will be here to answer any more deeper theological questions or any questions that require a lot more intensive answering. Our Imam Abdullah wanted me to mention to you that there is a feedback form online. If you text 11011, if you text 11011, you'll get a link in reply. You text interfaith to 11011, interfaith, and you'll get a link in reply. You click on that link and there'll be a feedback form. When you go home and you have internet access, you can do that, inshallah. There is internet as well here. There's an open internet Wi-Fi access interfaith. And we do have a computer upstairs. The session tonight is upstairs at 6 p.m. And we do have a tablet, I think, up at the entrance, at the end of the hall here, that you can also leave electronic feedback to tell us how we did. After we got through the microphone problems, hopefully we were okay for you all, and we appreciate you all coming. There's some brochures to take with you if you'd like. There's some posters to read about, and if any of the ladies would like to try tying a hijab, that is perfectly up to you. You might want to see how the women tie it differently and everything like that. Growing up here, I also have to say, my grandmother, she never would have left the house without a scarf on. And when we get married here, we also put it on in many cases. It's not necessarily a new thing. It's just sometimes we forget where these traditions originated from. So may Allah bless you. Thank you for coming, and I thank the panelists and all our guests. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. As well as, inshallah, there is an Arabic calligraphy at the end of the hall. You can write down your names in Arabic letters. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you all who those attend and participate in this event. And all thanks to our Dr. Speaker and Sheikh, Brother Will, Jazakumullah khairan all. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.